Hi, fifth graders. It's Miss Nelson talking. I would show you my face, but I have not showered in a few days, so we're just going to keep it like this. I am here to walk you through the third column of your chart for today on this document called People's Perspectives Chart. We've been talking a lot about perspectives in ELA recently, and we talked about what it means to have a perspective or to have a different perspective than someone else. And today we're going to be taking that idea of perspectives and applying it to social studies. Yesterday, all three classes, Mr. G's class, Mr. DeBoer's, and Miss Nelson's, we all did a game on Zoom where we compared armies. Now we're going to do some comparing of different people groups to see what they thought about the revolution, about the Revolutionary War. So I first want to just recap the directions to make sure that you've completed the steps you need to before watching this video. So here we go, directions. Number one, think about each people group listed in the left column. What do you think these people all thought about the revolution? Okay, so by the people groups in the left column, we mean these people right here that I'm highlighting in blue. Step two, put your guesses in the middle column. Don't worry about being wrong. I just want to see your thinking. So that means at this point, you should have already filled out this box, this box, this box, this box, and this box with your guess at how these people felt about the revolution or going to war. I want to know, how do you think a patriot woman would feel about going to war? How would a loyalist woman feel about going to war? An enslaved African in the South, what would they think about going to war? A free African in New England, what would they think about going to war? And a Quaker, what would they think about going to war? Now, I just want to clarify right here where it says going to war. That does not necessarily mean that patriot woman going to war, that loyalist woman going to war, these specific people going to war, but I want to know, what do they think about their country going to war? What view do they have about America going to war? So I'm more looking for their perspective on America fighting against Britain, not just them personally fighting against Britain. So you can adjust your answers in this column if you need to, or make sure you filled them in. I'm going to tell you for the third column how they may have actually felt. So if you missed any of these boxes in the middle column, feel free to add to them. Or if you missed something here, if you just left one blank, you can fill it in when I go through this. But you do not need to change your guess. I'm not looking for you to just put all of my answers for how they actually felt. I want to see what your guess was, whether it was right or it was wrong. Next step, once you have that whole middle column filled in, watch this video, which if you're watching, you found the link at the bottom of the doc, and use it to fill in the right column. And make sure once we go through this column on the right side, right here, that you turn the document in. Okay, first thing, how would a patriot woman feel, and what did patriot women do? Let's think about this. So we have talked in social studies about how patriot means someone who is fighting for freedom from Britain. So the first thing for how they felt, and you can type this in, would be felt strongly that the Americans needed to win the war. And I'm going to make this smaller so I can fit several things in this box, and I'll change the font to make it easier to read. How would a patriot woman possibly feel? So this would be possible actions. This does not mean every single patriot woman did this, but these are some strong possibilities. So the first thing, may have helped to keep the farm going if her husband was a soldier. Okay, so maybe she takes care of things back at home while her husband is going to fight in the battles. Another interesting thing is that women oftentimes would help make things for the soldiers. So a patriot woman may have made blankets and other things for soldiers. All right, the next one, a loyalist woman. Remember, loyalist means you are trying to stay loyal to the King of Britain. So for how they felt, let me change my font again. Otherwise it's gonna be way too super huge. A loyalist woman would likely feel it was wrong to break away from Britain and wanted the British to win. And possible actions may have tried to go to Canada or back to Britain. If you're a loyalist woman who's living in America, it would make sense that maybe you try to get out of North America or go back to your home country if your home country, Britain, is who you want to win the war. And then here, may have done things to support soldiers, kind of like we said with the Patriot woman, but here, this would be to support loyalist and British soldiers. Okay, next up, what about an enslaved African in the South? How might an enslaved African in the South feel about America going to war? Well, I'm going to tell you, oftentimes enslaved Africans would feel undecided. They wouldn't necessarily know how to feel if they wanted to support the British or support the Americans. So some of them felt undecided about the revolution. That doesn't mean all of them, but it might put you in a tricky spot to decide where your loyalty lies. And that isn't just a feeling that would apply to enslaved Africans. I think many people may have felt that, especially at first, where their loyalties lie. Okay, and then this is interesting. They may have tried to escape to help one side or the other. So may have tried to escape and help either the Patriots, okay, so we could say Americans who want freedom, or the British. All right, now a little bit different, a free African in New England. Let's think about that. So here, this is going to be slightly different. Felt the revolution was a fight for freedom, and maybe it would result for freedom for everybody. So if you are an African in New England, you would hope that freedom would become available to everybody. That's a likely feeling that you may have. And in order to fight for that freedom for everybody, you may have joined the Continental, and remember that means the, Continental, that means the American side, Army in that fight for freedom. We can actually capitalize Army too. All right, and then last one, how might you feel about the Revolutionary War if you were a Quaker? Well, let's think about it. So the first thing is, I know we've learned about Quakers a long time ago, but for many of them, they felt that war was wrong and wanted things to be settled, things to be settled peacefully. Kind of like what the Americans tried to do through the Olive Branch petition when they tried to settle things with Britain peacefully. And so the possible actions would be try to find ways to solve things peacefully. And also, interestingly enough, Quakers would not fight for either side. They feel so strongly that war is not the answer that they would not fight for either side. All right, that does it. Make sure you have your guesses filled in. If you missed a guess on one of the people groups, you can use one of these bullet points about what I told you for how they would possibly feel, or just leave your own guesses. I would love to see what you thought, even if it wasn't correct. And then make sure you have this whole column here on the right side filled in, and go ahead and turn that in. We will talk to you later.